Here we go.
No.
We should be back online over here on Facebook.
Not according... Oh, yep, here we go.
Yeah, we're back.
Excellent. Thanks, John.
All right, there we go. Configure video. Camera control. Zoom. Focus. Is it autofocus? Hey, John, does the focus look okay on the sewing machine, on the third one? Can you tell us? Yes, there's my hand. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, I think we got it.
Now we just need to move it down a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Okay. Technical drama aside, I apologize. All right, so I'm going to sew this since this is such an awkward way to sew in here, if you don't mind.
I'm totally okay
All
with
right,
that.
cool. All right, so if you look where I started, I'm going to drop this needle down so you guys can see, and then I'm going to pick this up. See where I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
I am not at the edge. Why am I not at the edge?
Well, because...
This throat plate in here, I'm going to get my pointer tool so people can see. This is a zigzag throat plate, right? So this needle can go in here, in here, in here. That's a lot of space to get fabric sucked in.
Yeah.
How many times have you had to
I'm not telling you.
yank, right? Like we all do it. And I did not learn this for a long time either until I was taught this. And then this was not by my grandma did not teach me this. This was taught by another sewer that I was talking to. And they're like, oh, we'll just start in a little deeper. When we start here, a little bit in, it can't suck it in now.
Got it.
This is your seam allowance. This is your seam allowance.
And that's
It
why you
doesn't
always go with a quarter
have
of
to
an
be.
inch.
Well, and this is a half of an inch here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the way to the edge. It's the seam allowance.
Got it.
So I'm just going to sew this at whatever my sewing machine decides is the standard straight stitch, which I know this machine is about a 3 size. So it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go a couple forwards and then I'm going to go a couple back. All right.
Not all the way back.
Not
so
all
it
the way
gets
off
caught.
the edge so it gets caught. Yep. Another way to do that, if you do have to sew to the edge, is you put another scrap in there first, sew onto the scrap, then sew right onto here, and then you just snip that scrap off.
Nice.
So it's a starter. You basically start on a scrap.
Cool.
All right, and I'm gonna get my foot pedal does not run away. All right, there we go. So we're just gonna go ahead and sew that. And I know that's probably really loud because of where we have the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Move the mic over here a little bit. There we go. So it's not so loud. All right.
And always leave your tails long.
Yep, and I pulled them out from the back of the machine. Okay, so now we have some tails, and we'll go ahead and trim those off now. But we don't want to have those there. This one's huge because that was where we started.
Right.
All right, so now what you want to do is go take this and press this. You guys have seen me press, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go here, we're going to open this up, and we're going to press that seam down. So press it first with a little steam and then turn the steam off.
Okay.
So she's going to go off camera and press it so I don't have to do the complicated rig of that.
Your machine turned itself off.
Oh, just dip it down and it'll come back on. Here.
Okay.
Then it'll come back on.
Nice.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about, what can we talk about while she takes care of that? So how is this third camera set up? Is this working pretty good for people? Rather than the zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, I'm going to find an arm for this where I can actually kind of play with it. It should be good now. Yeah, there you go. And then I'll turn your steam off. Now, why do we turn the steam on and turn the steam off? Steam on, steam off, right? It's like wax on, wax off. So fiber. Let's talk about fibers itself. Fabric is made up of yarn, right? Yarn is made up of twisted fibers that are brought around each other, right, in what they call ply. So most thread, and that looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
Now, most thread comes with 2 ply, right? It's 2 pieces plied together. When you look at regular yarn, you're looking at the same exact thing. Thread is just really, 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 really tiny regular yarn. Technically, they still call it yarns.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So even the really fine, what's in here, these are still called yarns, even in this textile. So when we heat the fibers, they relax and they go kind of straight. So they're all twisted, right? They're twisted, 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 like this, like this, like this. When we heat them, they get kind of loose, kind of like our hair. So when you heat your hair, what does it do? It straightens up, right? And then if you have curly hair, when you heat it and you apply a little bit of pressure to it, so that's what our iron's doing, then it loosens up, right? And steam will do that even more. So then what happens is when we steam it, then we get that fiber loose, which helps us to get that fiber rearranged and set it down. And then whenever we put the heat onto it, it dries it and helps to set it into its spot. And then when we let it cool, the fibers will crinkle back up, but now they're in a new shape.
Got it.
And so that's what our pressing did. So now we have a couple of choices. Do you want to attach, do you want this to be very clean? So we have a cheap and easy way, or we have a clean and pretty way. One way we're going to have to figure out how to finish this. The other way, this will be all enclosed.
I say let's enclose it.
All right. There's both of them are quite easy. All right. So here's what we do. Let's move the machine out of the way and move our camera over just a wee. So the cheater way was going to be to pre-fold this in half. Okay, just like that. Then connect it here. Sew it most of the way around. Then the elastic would go through there, finish sewing it, and then we're done, right?
What's wrong with that way?
Leaves open seams. And this phrase, as you can see quite nicely.
Oh yeah, that's fraying really quick.
The other way to do it is to sew just one side. So then when we fold it up, this is like here, then we have to fold this under and then come into here. Now that's a little more tricky.
Yeah.
So the other option is after we do this, we would zigzag like bejesus out of that. And then we have a seam that is not terribly messy. A little messy, but not horribly. If you had a serger, then it would look just like every other circle skirt you've ever had on the inside. I do have a serger. Yeah. No, but I'm saying for other people that if they do or they don't. All right. So
it's just not here.
What we're going to do is just take this and fold it in half on both sides.
Yeah, that's already serged.
That was already serged on the inside, yep. I am just going to push this to one side. Well, it was pushed to this side. We'll just push it to this side. And then what I am going to do, what I suggest you do, is to grab some pins. Now, when you do it like this, because you're going to make this as a casing, we're going to make sure this is pushed to the same side, because it's going to make it easier to push our elastic through there.
We have to push our elastic through that direction.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. We'll just get our elastic through, but there's some extra nonsense in there. All right. And then what I usually do, thank you, is pin these first in half the whole way around. And then I'll show you why I do that in a second.
Okay.
So I'm going to take this seam and I'm going to pin it like this. It's on the straight grain, so it'll kind of auto do it for us.
Which is another reason we don't want to do it on the bias.
We have...
Oh, more comments. That's...
Hey, Mama. Nice to see you joined. My mommy's online.
Hi.
All right. So we're just going to go all the way around. Now, the great thing is straight grain means that we can actually do this. And it goes the right
place.
I'll
just pin it while you hold it.
But no, we can just set it down. It'll need a little bit of correcting, but we can just set it down. And just pop some pins in there. And I'm putting enough pins as if I would put it in here because I'm going to show you how we're going to take the pins back out and reuse them.
Okay.
As we go around. It'll make it easier. So I'm kind of prepping for my next step here. So, do you have any questions while we while we do this? So we can tell them.
Are we going to iron it before we put it on so that it stays flat?
No.
That's what you did last time.
Not on this. I'm not going to worry about it. The other one I did because that particular fabric is really fussy and it does not want to fold down. It wants to be real stiff. And it just was not going to behave for me, which is why I did it.
Got it.
If it were a flat waistband, yeah, but we're going to put elastic in here, so it doesn't really matter. But this is nice, and this is just standard cotton. Like, this is just a broadcloth.
Pillowcase.
So we're not going to, it's going to behave. The other one was misbehaving. If you fold that, it did not stay folded to save its life unless I heated it. So that was the reason I did the other one, because I do what makes things easier.
See, that's what I told everybody.
If it's easier to press it, press it. If it's not needed, don't worry about it. On this particular application, I don't need to worry about it.
Okay.
All right, and then we're lined up. All right, so now we don't have any seams in this, right?
Nope.
And this is just a perfect circle.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because we cut that one.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there's nothing to line up. Now, were we to have had made 2 pieces of fabric and made this as a circle skirt, that typically you wouldn't have enough width of the fabric that you'd make a full circle skirt out of 1 piece of fabric, right? Usually you'd have a front and a back sewn together. Then I would line up the 2 side seams with the 2 side seams. So we have a seam here and a seam on this side, right? Mm-hmm. So I would line those up with the 2 side seams on the skirt, just to make it look nice. And it also helps you know which way is the front. But we don't have to worry about it. So we're just going to pick a spot.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you how we did this. So, see, I already have that pin there.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to take it out.
Nice.
And I'm going to put it in.
Super easy.
Now, I am going to just double up and see. Hopefully we did this right.
I think the fabric is already stretched a little bit.
And we can take care of that. So what I'm doing right now is just kind of guesstimating. So see, I've got this here. So let's kind of take the halfway. And, you know,
that looks about right, actually.
Yeah, this is going to be gathered. So
right.
If we have to put a little bit of a little pleat in the here or there, not a big deal. So.
Well, you know, since it's going into my collection, it'll fit in if we do that.
I am of the opinion that you pick and choose when you want things to be critical. Like, you know, when do you want it to be like, oh my God, this has to be perfect? And when do you not? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, then it's your prerogative.
Well, for like a competition cosplay,
I would not
would need to be
just guesstimate at all. No. I would double, triple, quadruple check. So you can see, this is on the bias. So this is actually stretching to the straight.
Yes.
So, and see when we put our pins on the up like that, it didn't matter which side. Now I'll put a few more pins in here just because this is slippery and it's going to make it more difficult to sew. Oh, I think I should have plenty in here.
Okay.
You're good. Thank you. And I do this in segments because sometimes if you start all at one shot, you'll realize that you didn't,
have a massive amount of gather
in one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you probably don't want to have a massive amount in one side, not the other, which I think we did. So we're going to probably do a little rearranging. There we go. Let's see here. Let's rearrange this a little bit. Now, the other cool thing about a bias is it will shrink as much as it stretches. So you can actually shrink things on the bias as well as stretch things because it's like this. So we can shrink it and it'll go like this, or we can stretch it and it'll go like that. So the fibers are actually on a mechanical, they call it a mechanical stretch. And when you have clothes that stretch, like that are knits, they stretch because they are reasons they stretch. Elastine, which is lycra, the actual fiber stretches. Mm-hmm. So it's still woven, but the actual fiber itself stretches. Like the string. If you were to take it apart, it would be like a piece of elastic. So it's like weaving little tiny threads of elastic into your clothing.
Yeah, that's why I figured it was stretchy.
Yeah. Now, other things that are stretchy, like this sweater, are because it is knitted, where it goes up and down and up. It's knitted with machine knitting needles. And knits inherently stretch. Mm-hmm. So, see how this was kind of big here? I'll show you. I can push this in, and it will actually start to push together.
Yeah.
And we can we can smoosh it in. This is how armholes work.
Oh.
So look at that, see?
Yeah, that's something I've never had the guts to try.
Well, we're going to do it.
Okay.
This is how armholes work. Now, when I do this type of gathering like this, I put a lot of pins because it does take a lot of holding down. If I were doing this for competition and I did have to worry about this, I would hand baste it, which is literally more than just going with a needle and thread my hand all the way around. Just a simple running stitch, because then what that's going to do is prevent it from shifting in the sewing machine, because we could have, that's the equivalent of putting a pin like every 1/8 of an inch, which is annoying. Like right. You would not want to pin that much. So instead we use a hand basting. A lot of people don't want to get out the hand needle. They just don't. But I can tell you, as a person myself who has done this for a long time, and my grandmother, who's the one who taught me, she's still hand-based. We all hand-based. It is something that beginners should definitely do, because it will save you so much drama and agony. Like, it is worth every second. So you spend a few extra minutes and you get a whole lot of reward. You know, you might spend 10 or 15 extra minutes when you're learning. It might be more. It might be 20, 30 minutes that you'll get fast, and you get so much reward, because then when you put it through the machine, it will be perfect. It will not come out all weird. It won't come out all stretched, because that hand basting stitch has held it together like glue, basically. So you
like
want to...
You're pinning every 8th of an inch.
Exactly. So see how I did that? It's look at that. It starts to come together, and you can actually push it, because that is on that bias.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping these pins up like this, so when we go through the machine, it's gonna, you're just gonna pull, because we don't want to drive over the pins.
No.
Because driving over pins equal bad.
Yes.
A lot of people
very bad
are like, oh, I drive over pins, and I'm like, oh, okay, do you wear safety goggles?
It hurts. Like, I'm terrified, because I took sewing classes in college, and you get a bunch of college kids in a room with a bunch of sewing machines. Nothing ever happened because I had a really great teacher. I'm putting that out there right now. But sometimes we would go in there and we would sew our own stuff, and you put a bunch of really tired college kids in with sewing machines, and I was never there when bad things happened, but bad things happened to a lot of my friends.
The industrial machines, which go really fast.
Well, ours
but still, yeah. If you do have industrial machines that go really fast. Now, we have a lot of extra here, so I may end up doing some opening up of the other seams. So this is fussy, because we probably should have cut this just a wee bit longer, but we're doing fun math, so.
Well, and I honestly think that the tablecloth is already
It did.
stretched.
It does. It does. It's heavy, and we picked it up, and pretty much the minute you pick it up, it is going to stretch. But look how much that pushed in.
Yeah.
See that? Now, that's the beauty of the bias, too, though. There were several designers who learned this, and this is like the whole centerpiece of the 1920s and the 1930s, is where we started to get garments that slimmed the body before, that were not knits, because the garments were cut on the bias, and bias will hang right next to your body, which is both a good and a bad thing. It'll hang on every little lumpy bumpy you got. But it's useful. Bias is useful. Well, we may not be too bad.
I was going to say, now that you're squishing it together, it doesn't look like there's that much extra.
Nope. And this is why we pin first, because you don't want to just start going to sewing. I have seen beginners that are just like, oh, we'll just like line it up and start sewing, like, because they've seen people do that. And if you have a straight grain, you can do that. So if this had been a dirndl skirt, which is a rectangle, we could have just like taken it to the machine, pinned a few places, just like every like maybe 8 inches, make sure we've got it kind of, and we could have started going down the line.
See, I wanted to do the circle skirt with the fabric that was already done, because I thought it was going to be easier.
Well, I think it is, because you've got your hem done. Hems are the worst part of circle skirts. They really are. I think
it's going to be the perfect part of. Yeah, I can't. I've tried to do a circle skirt a couple of times, and it didn't work.
Well, I have tricks for hems too, and it requires a little extra stuff. All right, so now we have Now it should look like so. All right.
Nice.
We have this here. Let me see. Are they seeing that? Yep. All right. So we've got the waistband on one side. We've got our pins on the other. Now we are going to just kind of curl our fabric up there and bring the machine over. And I am going to attempt to remove that over. Are we good? Yep, we're good.
Yeah, looks good.
ISO here is learning the difficulties of stream sewing.
Yeah.
Now she sees why I'm like, I'm like closed in.
You
And
don't seem, yeah, actually, this space is a lot smaller than it looks on camera. I thought it was like another half of a room back here, but, and I went back and looked after I had been in here, and it still looks like there's another half of a room back here, at least to me. But, yeah.
Okay, we need to do one thing in particular, and I am going to put some marks to do it. We have to leave an opening for putting our elastic in.
Right.
I have a terrible habit of closing it up and then going, oh no, and then, yes.
No,
So here's what I do.
elastic.
So we put a couple marks to remind ourselves.
Love that. I'm getting one of those.
Very useful. And you can get one and just change out because they actually, you can take this comes out.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, you try
boy.
not to. You can refill it. Anyway, they're refillable.
Chalk everywhere.
I showed you what not to do with your chalk. There you go. It's all washable. All right, so I am going to not sew in between these.
Yes.
So we remember to put, and you don't have to put this much space for elastic, but it's sometimes a little easier to leave a little more. So we'll figure that out when that comes. So I'm going to bring this here at that 1/2 inch. I'm gonna put my needle down where I want it to go. Now I'm gonna pick it up and pull that out. And that needle acted just like my pin.
Mm-hmm.
So when I needle down, it trimmed, it basically is holding it in place, and now I can take that pin out. So I'm safe. So I was trying to show you this the other day. I don't know if you could see it very well, but this is the way I hold. So when you hold it like this, I learned this from a ready to wear. What happens is that this on the underside gets pulled a little longer than the top side, because the top side will feed a little faster.
Okay.
So one side is going in, so they're not going in evenly. What actually is happening is one side's going and they're going like this. So when you pull that bottom, basically the bottom, you need to give it a little extra length. So it evens it out. So in ready to wear, they try to avoid all pins at all costs because pins take more time.
Right.
Whereas in couture, we want to take all the time in the world. So the nice middle is to use some pins and some technique. And so this technique is used especially if you're not going to use pins.
Okay.
But so you're just basically taking thumb on the bottom and spinning it up against your pinky.
Got it.
And then this hand is guiding. Now, we're never pulling or pushing the fabric. Ever. You're going to break your needle. You're going to possibly cause other drama, and you don't want to do that. All right, so we're just going to go a few stitches. And we are going to back stitch here because that elastic is going to kind of pull. So we're just going to sew it. Now, this little handy dandy thing actually came from the hardware store. This has a magnet, yeah.
That's awesome.
They, like, hardware dudes use it for screws and stuff, but I use it for pins because it's magnetic. I'm going to try not to get my sweater all destroyed from Velcro. Okay, so
I was telling people on my Instagram feed earlier kind of about what you were just saying, that I try to do things really fast and I'm a really lazy sewer. Mm-hmm. But what I've been learning from you, what I learn from you every single time you stream, is like little techniques that take a little bit longer, but then down the road, I'm not like, it would save me so much headache and trying to fix things and rearrange things and unpicking and picking.
True, because what I tell people is every time you have to get out that seam ripper, you spend a lot of time. People don't account for the time in the seam ripper, but it takes a lot longer to rip the seam than it does to baste it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot longer. So it also takes a lot longer to rip the seam than it does just put in some more pins. So it really counts. I've so many people like they are like you become the fan of the hand basting. And there are, once you get used to things, then you understand when you need a hand baste and when you don't. But like with almost all beginners, I'll say hand baste everything. Like if it's your very first time sewing, like if I'm bringing somebody who's never touched a sewing machine, obviously you had classes and things.
Right, yeah.
But like it's just the first few things they make, I have them hand based. First of all, it gives you skill in hand sewing.
Right.
Because it's simple and it's not visible in the end. You take it out. Right. So it doesn't have to look pretty. But then it gets them in the idea of it. Also, people don't do fitting muslins either. They don't do fitting tests. And that can cause a lot of drama. Now, obviously, we're not doing a fitting test on this because this is
elastic.
This is basically a fitting test.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a tablecloth and a 50-cent pillowcase, so I mean, you can't
if something happens to it, nobody's gonna cry.
Exactly.
I'm out like $1.
So it basically is a fitting test. So we're not like, in the drama zone.
That is why I go with cheap fabric.
But you selected quality fabric though, because this broadcloth, there's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. It may have been 50 cents, but that's because you got it at the thrift store. But there's nothing wrong with it. See, that's the thing. Is you want good quality, but you don't have to spend a ton of money for good quality. Right. But you do need to make sure that what you've gotten isn't complete garbage, especially with knits. Because really cheap knits will give you so much hell. Oh my God. They are evil.
I think that's why I learned to hate sewing, is because it was back in the 90s when my mother was trying to teach me, and it was knit everything.
Mm-hmm. I don't ever advise beginners to learn on knits.
Yeah.
Knits are level 2 or even level 3. You have to get used to what's normal and what's not normal and how the machine works, and like basic cottons are like I had a student that was a middle schooler, and what do we make? A pull-on skirt. Because it was 2 rectangles, we made it from a simple fabric. You can use any quilting fabric. Another great one is, you can move up to then a pajama pants. And people want to go straight into making the thing, that they want to make. Right. But the problem with that is that you're going to end up with a lot of disappointment if you don't get your basics down. Spend, some time and add the time in for learning to make something that only you are going to see. I mean, if you mess up on your PJs, whatever,
Yeah.
You mess up on a skirt, nobody was counting on you to see that skirt. And besides, then you have to know how to go make it out of cute fabric. And every geek needs her, casual con clothes. Because, some of us, like me, don't go in costume the whole day, especially when you compete. And as she knows, because she also competes, competition is grueling, and I cannot be in a wig and all the business all day if I'm going to spend 6 hours doing it for competition in the evening. Mm-mm. So I want my nerd wear in the morning, like my comfy shoes and my super cute tee, or, just like a pull-on skirt, whatever. Hell, my kids and I will even go PJs mode, like onesies and PJs mode, which is totally cool at cons. Go PJs mode to a con. Like Sundays are our PJ day. The last day of the con is our PJ day.
That's why I wore my casual Wonder Woman outfit that I just posted on Instagram with, basically, it's leggings, a slouchy shirt, and a headband with a Wonder Woman iron-on it.
Yep.
And it is so ridiculously comfortable. That's my favorite con cosplay. And it's not it's basically pajamas.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Sundays. We always wear, because we're worn out from Friday night. Especially at our con, we're worn out Friday and Saturday. Oh, yeah. And my husband Vince and I've been doing panels, and so we go geeky PJs, and it's super fun. And then everybody loves I forget the Japanese word for it, the onesies that are the Pokemon, and there's a Japanese term for it too, that people use, because I know Cypher Stitches makes them.
Yes.
And she makes adorable ones.
Oh, I would love to be able to afford one of hers.
You can also learn how to make them too, though.
Yeah, but then that's time.
Yeah, but like if you learn how to make your stuff though, and you sew, then you can make your own super creative onesie.
Yes.
That's like totally nerdy, geeky.
My own new Pokemon.
Yeah, like. All right, so before we do much else, you guys can see this is fraying like nobody's business. So we are going to take a zigzag stitch, and what we are going to attempt to do is actually zigzag on the edge. So what I'm going to do is move this to number 2, which is a zigzag. Now there is like an overlock type stitch here, but I don't remember which one it is. No, those are buttons. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to show everybody the old school zigzag way. So I'm going to make a nice wide zigzag. And I'm going to just make it so it's on the left side. And I'm just going to kind of zigzag to where it's going to zigzag just off that edge. And I'm also going to make my stitch length longer because we don't need to waste thread on what should be essentially a serge. So this is the alternate to using a serger. So if you don't have a serger, which a lot of people don't, this is what you do. And if it's not enough, because so see how that needle is coming just off the edge.
Yes.
See?
Nice.
And we could make those stitches a little closer together. I'll just go a little closer together at a 3. This is preference. It also depends on how much your fabric frays. So.
Speaking of cute geeky, where I have some awesome glow-in-the-dark Star Wars fabric we need to use at some point.
See, I think there's a few really great things, like a basic tank, skirts, then you can eventually go up to making like button downs, like those are great with the quilting cottons that come in the crazy fabrics. But personally, I think that a lot of cosplayers don't take advantage of the fact that they know how to sew and sew their geekwear stuff. Like there's so many cool fabrics in polar fleece. You can make like anything. Like you can make if you can make a kimono, you can make a kimono out of whatever, right? So in the summertime, I make kimono style short jackets out of just quilting cottons and just wear them over a tank and shorts.
That is brilliant.
Super easy.
That's what we need to do with the Star Wars fabric.
Yeah. Then you've got this cute little tank for when it's like 900 degrees outside, and then you go inside a building and it's like 4.
Freezing.
Yeah. So you've got this cute kimono style little top, you can just throw on whatever, and it's nice light cotton, so when you go outside, you're just like easy breezy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So super fun. There's a lot of ways you can take what appears to be normal clothing and make it super cool. So see, we're just going to take this round, and we're just letting that needle hit, and I'll try and go slow so we can see. I think they can see, can they?
The fabric's kind of...
Let me do it this way. Let's get in there really good. I can't see.
Sorry.
All right. And let's see what I... All right. Does that work? Are we doing it?
Yeah, that looks good.
So that...
Inside the sewing machine.
Yep. And that brings us like this. And that looks darn well like a serged edge, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is not going to fray
It's
off.
pretty close.
Yep. Just push this back out a little, just so I can reach. This is the ancient technique that people like my great-grandma used to use, and everybody used until sergers were commonplace, because in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, nobody had sergers, so that wasn't a thing. So you did this. And this is actually the same equivalent of how we would hand sew. Even if we were to hand do this, this is the same thing we'd do to hand overlock. Now, I did not start at the right spot, so we're just gonna back stitch here. See, I started back here instead of up there.
So I wasn't even paying attention.
I wasn't paying attention either. We're goof. So I'm gonna finish up. You know what? I'll finish that up after we
once we get it sealed off.
All right, now elastic. So see, we have this nice purdy thing. Now
that is pretty.
we want to press this before we go much further.
Okay.
So we're going to bring it over here so we can demo how to press this.
Okay.
And I will show you how we do that in this room. This room is a convertible room. We knock everything off the edge first, and then I get this guy. Here we go. And if you can bring me the iron. I'm going to take this off before I snag my sweater on it, because I don't usually sew in a sweater. I usually sew in my PJs.
Yes, me too.
PJ sewing is the best. All right. I actually do like this. What I think I'm going to get is one of those, like, arms that does the thing. Like, I need, like, they'd use for microphones and that, but, like a swivel arm thingy.
That would be awesome.
And just, like, mount it up and over here. That way I can kind of be, or have it on, like, a little, see, what I was thinking is if I had my little tripod, and then I can, like, have it just on the floor next to me.
That was
then I'd be able to see in. But our third camera test is going pretty well. I like it. All right. So we have this on the inside. Now we have a little bit of this business. We'll just clip that off. It will fray a little bit. If you find it fraying too much, you just zigzag it closer together with a shorter stitch.
Little scissors for a little job.
Little scissors, little job. Big scissors, big job. But that's as much as it's going to fray because we've captured it now. It can't open anymore. So a lot of people are like, I don't have a serger. I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can make your stuff look very pretty. And if you want to make it even prettier, all you do is make it a shorter stitch. So the zigzags are closer together and you'll make it real pretty.
Okay.
But we have to be careful of bulk. So something that we do in anything that we do, we want to reduce bulk because bulk doesn't look nice.
Right.
So stitching
Got
adds
plenty of bulk.
stitching. We all have plenty of bulk. Stitching the wider stitching is less bulk because when it starts to do this, there's just less of it there.
Right.
So that's gonna do it. So here's what we have to do. We need to get this to go down, right? We have two choices. We can make it go up or we can make it go down. Typically, it's going to be made to go down. Personally, I think it looks nice down.
Yeah,
and you can do an extra little top stitch down. You can also go up and it will not be seen. So your choice.
I think probably
up makes it so it does not want to go there. But then again, this will probably be weird. Usually it's
probably
down. Yeah. So let's wake the iron up.
I did.
Alrighty. And we're going to start in here with the tip of the iron because this is a circle and we want to make sure that that is really good and let's get my steam on. There we go. Really good and pressed. All right. And then what we're going to do is this is a little bit of a slow process. We're just going to go bit by bit because this is a circle and we put a straight thing onto a circle. We don't want to make it so that it makes puckers from this side.
Mm-mm.
And the reason we're going from this side is as a precaution against heat issues. So what we are doing is we're just bringing in. Now one thing about this iron that I mentioned before is see how it has the stuff all the way to the tip?
Yes.
That means that I can use the tip of this iron and actually get in there and do the work. So, and now I know you probably know, oh, that's not cool. I should not have done that. My board is now warped. Too much steam. Okay, we're back down. Whew, it was still hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Cover it back up here. No, I don't want the steam to go down off the edge. I'm going to do up here. All right. So here we can see from this side how nice and pretty it lays down.
Yes, that's gorgeous.
And you can see from this side how it looks all crazy.
Yeah.
So this is where our pressing makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Now I tend to go this way just because of my handedness. If I'm using my left hand to iron, I'll go the other way. I can use both hands, so it's like kind of weird because I'll just randomly pick a direction.
Yeah, what do we feel like today?
Yeah. But I think they can see me. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, this works really good. So I'm preparing, I'm feeling with my fingers. And then what I'm doing before I lift it up is I'm actually feeling the heat of the fabric. I want to let it cool a bit before I pick it up. And I'm pushing it under there.
Mm-hmm.
And what that's doing is making sure that I don't have any problems underneath. I don't care about this. This is a...
Because it's going to be bunchy.
Bunchy, yeah. Now, I'm gonna... See it. So, touch it. See how it's real hot?
Yes.
When it starts to feel not so hot, that's when we pick it up. Because, especially since we know this is a polyester fabric, and polyester will permanently set with heat. As long as we don't heat it again, that's a good thing.
Right.
Because if you wash it on cool and you don't put it in the dryer, it will not unset.
Got it.
Now, if we wanted to be really sure, what we can do is put a really nice little top stitch down on here. And that will make this like, boom, that will never move.
That's probably a good idea. We'll see how many times. Or I can put it in later.
See that difference?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. I love pressing. Like, I'm not going to lie. I love pressing. Because pressing is magic.
It makes everything pretty.
No, literally, I feel like pressing is the magic. It's the real magic. Because everything looks like crap until it's pressed. Just everything looks like crap until it's pressed.
So if you have something that looks like crap, press it.
Actually, sometimes, even if it is a garbagey kind of sewing job, you can weasel out a better sewing job by pressing it, especially on hems. I've even had hems that did not come out so perfect because it was a tricky fabric and I was rushing, and I'm just like, we're just going to press this down and nobody's going to notice. You have to remember, you're looking at it while it's not moving. Humans are almost never not moving.
Well, especially you.
Well, and if it's on something swishy like this, you know. Yeah. Oh, no, I was wondering where it got. That was the problem. I'm like, this didn't want to hold.
That keeps giving me a heart attack every time because it's
because it's open. Like, yeah, and that's fine. We know that's going to be open because that's where we're going to. And we wanted to do this before we do our elastic because if we did not, it will melt our elastic.
Oh, don't iron elastic.
Yeah, elastic is made from nylon, and nylon has a very low melting temperature. So generally speaking, once the elastic's in, we're not going to touch elastic with the heat that we're going to use for this.
Got it.
So it's okay that this has an opening. We're just going to fold that under and pretend that that is sewn. Because it will just naturally do its thing because the other guys next to it are told it's telling it what to do. So we are just coming in here and now I would decide if you want to top stitch it now because it's going to be much easier to put the majority of the top stitch in before we put the elastic, because otherwise you're going to have to attempt to pull the elastic open. So if we want to top stitch it, we should take a run now. So your choice. It won't take that long.
Probably let's do it then.
All right,
anything
let's
to make it stay.
Sorry. All right, so I think we've gone the whole way around.
Yes.
Now see how pretty that is?
That is really pretty.
And
that makes such a huge difference.
I know. It's like night and day. And how long did that take us?
Like
10 minutes?
5
minutes? Now, if I didn't have a fussy fabric, you could do it from this side too. And if we do it from this side, all we're going to do is the same thing we did there. And we're going to take our iron and we're going to push it on there just like that.
I can see why you did it from the other side.
Because I'm worried this fabric is not going to withstand enough heat. If I usually when you go from this side, like I would use a press cloth, but seeing through a press cloth is a little bit rougher. So I did it from the other side. If you do get a wrinkle in here, turn it over, press it out. You can press out the wrinkle. If you put the wrinkle in, you can put the wrinkle out.
It's just a lot harder.
Spray it with a little water and then press it back out.
Okay.
Dampness helps. That makes more steam, which makes it press back out. Yep.
It's like
steamy is your friend. Steam is your friend. All right. Let's move this here. And if you want to take the iron back, I think we are done with it for right now. Okay. And we will turn the sewing machine back into sewing machine mode. I wish this foot on this sewing machine had a longer cord.
Can we get an extension?
I don't think so. I don't know. I want to get a new machine in here. This is not my favorite machine. We'll see. All right. Eventually. I have a lot of I want. All right. So we are going to, so the reason we call it top stitching is it's not top stitching unless we stitch it from the top. So I'm going to put a couple of pins to mark where we don't want to sew it closed.
This is when it's really good that she's been meticulous and it's exact all the way along, because if you flip over stuff that I've sewn before, it goes from this to this to this to this, so you'd never be able to sew it from the top.
Well, yeah. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can do it, but your foot is going to be one of the easiest ways to manage. So your foot has a lot of different spots on it, right? Mm-hmm. And we can eyeball how far we want it based on places on our foot. Yes. Like I could put it there on my foot, and then that would be a certain depth. Now, here's another cool trick you can do, which most sewing machines will do. If I press the zigzag button, see my needle move?
That's cool.
But what's even cooler is that if I wanted a certain distance, and I go like this, because the open toe of the foot like that makes it real easy. So I just slide my toe in there. How far do I want the depth?
Nice.
Okay, so like this is a little trick.
I don't think my sewing machine does that.
It usually will if you set the width while you're in straight stitch mode on the zigzag. There's usually a way to make it do it.
Because it's like an old machine.
There might be a crank.
Okay.
Usually there's a zigzag width setting.
Right. Yeah, it has that.
Yeah. So even on the older machines, there is a way to do it. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Sometimes you have to kind of trick it.
Do you want your stool?
Oh yeah, that would be helpful.
I'm gonna slide over.
See what I mean about this rug? Look at that. It wants to move.
It just keeps.
I'm gonna have to get some.
It's sticky on the bottom. It shouldn't do that.
No, it shouldn't, but it does. All right, here we go. And the other day, I was actually sewing like this. That's why I was saying that it was really tricky.
Yeah.
I've never...
It didn't look like it.
No, that was weird. The thing is, it didn't want it to look like it, but it was, on the angle. So now we're not going to sew that spot. When we go to do that last top stitch, we'll just have to pull the elastic loose, But we don't have much to do. So I am not going to back stitch because we're going to come back over that eventually.
Okay.
So I am going to just put that toe right on that edge. And I'm going really slow because the skirt turns. And then as I go, I'm kind of pulling this down tight, right? And I'm just going slow because this is a curve and we are putting a straight onto a curve.
Right.
But because we pressed it, we opened it up. You can actually manipulate a straight using the heat. And then you can see where that probably was, I should have stopped and moved it, but we'll make it. So see how that happened? There's that little bit of bubbling there. We'll just kind of work it. See? Bias.
Yes.
So as I hold it straight and flat, it'll stretch the bias and make it work. But you have to really keep moving your hands. So it's a trick of not going too much at one time. So I'm constantly moving my hands back and just letting my hands walk along with the machine. And then when my hands get up here, then I go back again.
Nice.
And then we're just spinning the skirt. And what that will do is keep that edge down so when you're wearing it, it'll lay smooth against the body. I don't like when seams flip up on me because if you have something extra on, like your corset, that'll go over it, it'll rub, and it does not feel good.
I think I've got 4 layers, not counting that one.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and of all the layers, I do not need to be worrying about this one.
No, so we're just going to add this little extra bit of insurance.
And actually, this is insurance that I will actually show up at the first Friday. Because I have spent money on... Oh, I got the goggles.
Cool!
Today. They're super high quality.
Are they?
For what I paid for them? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, what were they, like $7?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. You're going to have to do, like, some pictures and a review on those.
Yes. I did a little bit of a review on my live stream. But because I was expecting some cheap crap plastic.
Well, yeah, because I did was... Yeah, because they were really, really... All right, so I'm just going to go right up to there. I'm just going to hit that needle up, and I'm going to take it out. And now we have this very nice snazzy. See, holding it down.
Nice.
Yep.
I may also use this as part of my Jedi outfit.
It could work. All right, now we need your elastic. You want to grab your elastic?
Yes, and it has not been cut.
That's fine. Nope, that's fine. So most of the time on elastic, the general concept is your waist measurement minus 2 inches. It just depends on how you like your elastic. So I literally just put it around my waist and decide where I like it. Wherever I'm going to put it and like mark it. So bring it to the front, wherever you plan to put it, and then like give it a little stretch, you know, where you want it.
Actually needs to sit a little bit higher because it needs to go underneath the corset.
All right. So then I would give it, like, that's not enough stretch. Does that feel good?
Yeah.
I usually have
maybe a little bit more.
A little bit tighter?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, everybody likes different tightnesses. So I usually just use a pen. Yep. And I almost always do the elastic on me just because it's easy.
Well, there's no need to lay out the elastic and measure it and measure. That's stupid. Why? That's a ton of extra work.
All right. So now we've got our elastic. And then we just put it through. So do you want to do the honors?
Sure.
All right. So
I've never done it without a safety pin.
Yeah, we're going to do it with a safety pin.
Okay.
We're just going to find the safety pins.
There's a little one right
No, they're in my green pin cushion. Oh, there's the green pin cushion.
Oh, wow.
I have a nice big one.
Monster safety
Yeah,
pins.
those are for quilters. They use big giant ones. They have great ones because you don't lose them. All right. And so remember what we did? We are going to, let's just pin this down into this fabric here. It's a little different whenever. Yep. Just going to pin this down so we don't get it stuck inside. And I'm pinning it that way just so that I don't, get my hands dramatically inside. So you can pick whichever direction, and you're going inside this and not in there.
Right.
So you can pick it up however it is that works for you. This is one of those things that can be really awkward if you don't find your hands. So you just need to find your hands wherever you want them to be. I know that sounds really weird, but no, you need to find your hand motion.
Yes.
Yeah. And once you get past that pin there, it won't be so bad. All right. Well, I think we are doing great. We're going to have the skirt done here in just a few minutes, honestly.
Yeah, we just have to seal it up if I can get this to work.
You'll get this to work. Getting through there. All right. So then just pull it in. Yep. It's a little tricky through the... Is it tight?
A little bit.
Let's see. Oh, that's why it's tight. Because it's bunched in there.
That's the one that was serged.
Yeah, that one will be a little... Just gotta kind of... There we go. All right. There you go. Now you're past it. You just have to kind of weasel past those. Sometimes there's not a good way to get through those little impasses. Yep. And once you get it going, it's so much easier. It really does help to get it kind of... There we go. Hand close up! We had no questions today.
I know, everybody was so quiet. Normally I talk, guys.
Yeah, we need Gabby Gabbers. But it's okay because I don't feel lonely because you're here.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I feel bad because I'm just talking about random crap. No. And then you look over and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. But see, it doesn't auto scroll for you.
No, that's so...
I know. I think I figured out why they don't auto scroll. Because I think it's so in case there was a whole bunch of them and you don't miss any.
Oh, that's true.
Because Twitch has a scroll speed you can set. They have what they call slow scroll and fast scroll. So it'll slow scroll so you can stay caught up.
That's cool.
So I've never had to use it because I never have enough chatters.
Twitch is harder for me to chat on. Actually,
Twitch is harder in general. John was saying, it doesn't work on his phone very good. Mm-mm.
You glitch so much more on Twitch.
Yeah, so...
No offense to all my Twitch friends.
But it's just the platform is easier. But even from my side, the platform is easier on Facebook. Yeah. You can see from here, it was kind of weird to set it up the first time. But now that I've got it set up...
Yeah, now that you know how to do it, it's simpler.
Yeah.
What did I deep.
It's okay.
There we go.
All right. So if we are flipped, there is an easy way to fix this.
Yes. I don't know how I did that.
It's okay. There we go. So see, what I do is bring it down to where there's nothing here. There you go. And then straight down. Everybody does that. Even when you know it. Even when you've been doing it forever. I'm like super careful about it because do you know how many times I put the elastic through and had to take it out because I twisted it somewhere.
So bad.
Especially if it's in like a really long, like something big, you know? Like not a piece of clothing, but if you're making something and it's long elastic and you're just like, no, I didn't just do that.
I would cry a lot.
I know. You're like, I don't like this. So what I would do, honestly, is we can make bands out of what's left of that.
Yeah.
As your hooks to hold the front of the skirt up.
I like that idea. Well, that's why I wanted to go with the brown waistband.
Yeah.
Just so that I could accent it if I wanted to.
Yeah. And so you can just cut, just like we made this waistband, you just cut that and then you fold in half and then fold a half again. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or shall we do it together? We could have enough time to cut that. There we go. Let's see.
It's...
See how if you grab it, you can let it do it.
Got it. So you're not grabbing the elastic, you're grabbing...
No, I'm grabbing around, see? And letting it do it. So when you bunch it up, so we're bunching, and then I'm kind of just pulling from... You can even do this. Just put your thumb in it and like let it do it. Because you don't have to worry about the elastic will go through. You can just, see, pick a spot and then just open it.
Nice.
And then it will slowly do its thing the whole way around. And now you see why we picked the hip measurement instead of the waist measurement, because if you're pulling up, it's got to go over the biggest part of you.
Yes.
But then we're going to shrink it back down again with the elastic, which gives a lot of nice fullness to the skirt.
Yeah, well, that was what I was kind of going for.
So you get more fullness in the skirt when you do it that way. So I like the tablecloth thing. I've never actually made a circle skirt from a tablecloth, so you know, we made something new. This was cool because I don't usually do a lot of like all thrift projects, but like this was cool.
So my I'm doing an Avengers comic book character, the red one, whose name I cannot remember right now, which is dumb. I made her out of tank tops from Walmart that were $1.
Here, let's get that all the way out. There you go. Oh. Fabric is fabric. That's what I like telling everybody. Like fabric is... Now somehow we did not... We need to thread that back up. This is just... Elastic is fussy in general.
Did it...
Oh, you're fine.
I think it got flipped.
Nope, it didn't. That's okay. We'll redo it. I just want to get it to where this is in. There we go. No. It's going to do that. It's going to be... It's going to do that weird thing until we... See, it's not... There's not a problem there. I promise. I promise.
Super scared because
it does. It's going to look really weird until we get it all the way through.
Okay.
Are you sure you measured this tight enough? Or you're wearing this really low. That's probably why. You've got this basically hip height instead of...
It's close.
Yeah.
I measured the elastic here, but when I was measuring the other day, I realized I'm kind of like my upper waist measurement here is smaller, but from here to here, I'm kind of boxy.
No, it is what it is. We're all... So here's what I suggest, though. Once we close this elastic up, before we 100% close it, pull it on. Yeah. Because it'll be easy to take the elastic loose. All right. If we need the elastic tighter. I'm not worried that we'll need it looser. I'm just wondering if we need it tighter. There we go.
We might.
All right. Now we can get a little piece of nonsense. I have some down here, actually.
Okay.
And let's get that. I always have fabric scraps. All right. So we will just put our little fabric scrap here. And so you can put it however deep in you want. Because we're going to cut it. All right. And then on we go. Of course, I turned it off. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I have an assistant. Da-da-da-da, Vanna White. The kids don't even know who Vanna White is.
No. Hey, she is still working.
Do they have Funko Pops now? Of like she's in the new Funko Pops.
She is?
Yes, and they're ones they just
awesome.
released at the big toy show.
Oh.
And I was like, OMG, Vanna White. And so I was talking to John on Saturday and I was reading off the list and my kids are like, who is Vanna White? And I'm like, I forgot. You guys have no idea.
So sad.
I mean, in their defense, like, we never watch regular TV, so.
Well, nobody does.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we're sewing that zigzag.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to leave that needle in there. And then I'm just going to come back around again, just to make sure it's on there good.
Because elastic likes to fold.
Yep. Okay. And then we're just going to take that off. And I didn't worry about back tacking that one because we're going to go over it again.
Mm-hmm.
So
you get both of them on.
Here we go. We can do this. So we know we've got it straight. See? We've got here into here. All right. So what I'm going to do is put a pin there. And then if you put a pin there, you know what you're doing. And I'm going to put my pin back here a bit so it's just like out of the way. And you can pull out as much of this elastic as you need to get in here and do its thing. So it does not matter. And I'm going to let it almost overlap, you know, like really, really close together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just going to go down here. Come on. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt. And then,
At this point, you've got really thick stuff going on.
no, sometimes it won't go just one stitch. Like the foot pedal is not very sensitive. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to scooch it over. So I'm just trying to realign it back because I didn't want to have to cut the thread. I'm just being lazy.
Why waste thread?
Well, why waste time more than anything else? And I have to back tack. And I'll do the same thing here. And we'll go one more time. Kind of over there. And then we will go here. There we go.
This was so cool to me when I saw you do it the other day.
Now, when you feel it, now touch that. No bulk.
Yeah, that's crazy.
None at all. So all we're going to do is trim up the extra nonsense, and it's done. So what I do is I just flip it inside out and just hold my scissors along there. And the same thing, just hold them along there. So you just don't cut your elastic. And just a little here, and a little there, and there we go. Now, we've done our job, which we have. We may have to weasel that for the time being. Now, we'll do the thing that I showed you the other day where you can just pick 4 spots.
Right.
But see, to me, I don't know if we have it because
I
I think the elastic seems really big. To me, it doesn't seem like it has enough stretch in it.
I'm going off camera, sorry.
She's trying on! We can shrink it. It's no big deal. Cutting and shrinking elastic, no problemo.
Yeah.
It needs to be tighter.
Yeah.
Like at least 2 inches.
Yeah, because even right there, it's...
No, it's not going to stay on. I don't know.
Because that's where I put it.
Did you pre-stretch your elastic? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. So the other day, remember when I was tugging? Because this has happened so many times to me. Because the elastic will like stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch. So.
Yep, that's what happened.
It's okay. We fix. This is an easy fix.
Yeah, at least it's not too small.
No.
That would be bad.
We got it flipped now. Because we didn't do the thing. It's okay. I'm pretty expert at weaseling it back. The way you weasel it is you kind of get the elastic to fold. Because I have had so many skirts that do this.
Ugh, it drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy too.
Anytime I use
there we go.
elastic, I always tack it down.
Yeah.
Even before I knew how to like do it the right way, I just sewed the crap out of it so it wouldn't move.
It happens. All right, so this is why we take our time. There we go. We'll pull it back out. Alright, and then since it's too big, it's real easy to get this out. We're just going to cut it. There we go. Now we start over. And I'm not going to let go of those because...
Yeah.
Here we go. Here. And there. This is very stretchy elastic. So...
Walmart.
Well, this is standard. This type of elastic is very standard. And so I'm going to actually pin both of those because I don't want to let those loose because...
We do not need to get it twisted at this point.
So I don't want to let that loose.
Isn't that what people say now? Don't get it twisted?
Yeah. That's what they say. All right. But the thing of it is we basically just have to fix the elastic, tack it down, close up that spot, and we're all done. Because we use the hem of that.
Right.
And it's done. And so you're like, sweet. Anytime you can use the selvage edge or a hem, it's A+.
It makes it so much faster because it would be at least another half hour to do.
Oh yeah, hems on circles are obnoxious. Very, very obnoxious. All right.
So it's good to note: always stretch your elastic first.
Elastic. This specific. I could not spit that out. This specific type of elastic is really annoying because it stretches a lot, which is great. Like I use it for PJs and stuff because it stretches a lot. But
there we go.
Pre-stretch.
Wow, that is so much longer.
See this is, and I learned my lesson the hard way because I was making my kids pajamas out of this type of elastic, and my son's like, "Mom, I don't know what happened, but they're falling off." And and I was like,
the camera. I'm gonna put that on now.
I'm like, okay. And then I
lost
went
a lot
back,
of weight, little dude.
and I remeasured it, and I'm like, how did they grow? Like, the pajamas grew. I'm like, oh, the elastic. So, yeah. When I say I figure stuff out the hard way, it actually means I figured it out the hard way. All right.
Poor little guy in his PJ pants.
Well, he put him on it. He's so skinny anyway. He put him on it. He was like, and of course, he shows me by walking through the room and watching his pants fall off.
Of course. Because what else would you do?
How would you illustrate that your pants fall off by just like saying, "Mom, my pants fall down," and holding it and showing me? No. Instead,
Mom.
you put your hands up like this and then walk across the room with your pants at your ankles.
Well, yes, that's logically how you
I'm
would do
still
it.
not sure we did enough.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering.
Try again. Careful, because they're like cords.
Yeah.
I don't want you to trip.
That's why I went the other direction last time, but...
But then again, you don't want it too tight.
Yeah, we could take it in maybe a little bit. I feel...
Like you are going to have stuff over it.
Right.
So you don't want it too tight because you're going to have other stuff. So you decide. Like
Yeah.
you only know when you wear it. Like it hangs really nice.
Yeah, you know what? Let's leave it
Okay.
for now, and then...
We can always open it back up and do it again.
Because I think because I'll probably wear it about right there.
Yeah, because you're going to have a bunch of
other
other
going to be
over
sitting
it.
right
Yeah.
on top of it.
Yeah. So if you find that after you wear it, it's like you can just take it loose a little bit and open it up. You don't have to redo the elastic in the same spot because you can just find it anywhere and cut open the elastic and close it again. You don't have to do it in the exact same location where we originally sewed it.
That's good because I probably would never be able to.
You wouldn't. So what you do is just how we snipped it at that location, we just snip it anywhere. So you just pick a spot, open it up, and snip it. All right. So as you can see, where it was not pre-serged, it's like kind of a stinker. So, all right. And this is why I did not want to. So now what we have to do, you have to actually pull it or move your stuffs as much as you can to get it in the spot. So we're going to do a little bit of pinsies, and you can kind of feel, where the elastic is. Now the good thing is we had a pressed mark, so you can actually see the pressed mark there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we're going to sew.
Nice.
Now, because we have that top stitching there, so it's going to be just a little tricky. But it will not be a problem. Just a little tricky. So we're going to sew right up to where, that's why that top stitching ends a little bit before the others.
Got it.
Because otherwise when you turn it like this, you won't be able to get in there. And sorry for the camera knocking. Everybody's like, whoa. All right. So what we're going to try and do is put this off of zigzag stitch, and I am going to needle down almost exactly where I left off. And I'm not worrying about aligning it along there. I want to get it where I left off. That's the most important part. So I'm just using my needle in there to hold it. I'm also feeling for my elastic, because you don't want to sew your elastic because then it won't turn, it won't go.
Right.
So I started a little bit, on top of the other stitches so that it will lock in. When you sew over, when you cross sew a seam, it locks it. So now I'm just going to kind of carefully sew up into there, and I'm just sewing off that edge there just because it was easier. You won't see it. Okay, now we will complete our top stitch right there. Oh, we need to serge that. Right. All right, so back to our zigzag. You know what? There's too many threads.
Clean it up.
Clean her up. I should have done this before. I like to clean more often normally, but we didn't. We were rushing.
Well, we're completing an entire skirt in one night, and in 2 hours? Not even?
Not even.
About 2 hours?
Well, you don't need that long.
See, that's another misconception that a lot of people have, is that sewing takes forever.
It depends on your project, though. See, a lot of people, they don't pick their projects well, and they get really frustrated really fast because the project they've selected takes forever, and they haven't chosen to do a shorter one first. And that's why I like to do certain projects.
I have a Regina cosplay, the Evil Queen cosplay.
Yeah.
That I've got the pattern for, the McCall's pattern for.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm going to have you help me with that.
Well,
but that's not for a while.
Did we? How did I miss that spot?
I don't know.
Oh, well. No? It won't be a problem.
Oh, because we didn't start at the right spot.
I missed that. I'm sorry. Oh, well. It'll work. It's not a big deal. No. All right. Now, we just need that last little bit of top stitch, and we're done. Oh, we will sew so that we will sew down the elastic in 4 spots so it does not spin.
Yes, because for some reason this particular elastic seems to be liking to do that.
All right, so did you see I lined it up with my needle first, then put my foot down, and that gives me exactness. Ah!
Zigzag!
Zigzag! No, that's okay. There we go. I didn't even make it in there because we didn't actually lock a stitch down.
Right.
There we go. Now here's where those thread tails work too. Sometimes your thread tail, leaving it there, will help you to find in the needle here. So you see how I can see that sideways there?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of shadows going on. So now I can see this is coming out, in that same spot.
Don't forget to switch to straight stitch.
Thank you. There we go.
Oh, now it moved.
Now it moved. Yeah, needle down. Come on, needle. There we go. Needle down. Don't forget to put your foot down because if you sew with your foot up, it's going to be dramatic.
It gets all kinds of knotted and does mean things to your bobbin.
You get what is commonly referred to as a bird's nest. Oh, I did not just do that.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because you're upset by the fact that you were off by about this much.
Do you want me to take it out?
No,
okay.
Cat, no.
Normally I'd take that out.
One day I will bring in some of my sewing and show you what
But
my
that's
sewing
your
actually...
sewing, and you're not me. You're not beginner.
No, I know.
I mean, you're beginner. I'm not beginner.
Well, but I've been
I should know
sewing
better.
since I was 11.
Yeah, but it's not necessary. But you haven't been continuously doing it.
No, that's true.
So, all right.
I boycotted sewing for a while.
Let's make sure this is actually happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just feeling the elastic. See, it's happy. And then I'm going to give it one good pull like this to distribute.
Yes.
All right. And so we're going to find these 2 seams. Those are the easier ones to start with. And see how that bobbin thread, because we were very, very consistent about not letting that bobbin thread show, that was a different color. And it didn't matter because you don't see it. This is where I was saying that bobbin thread doesn't always matter. So we're going to do that needle down thing here too, just to get that. So this is the stitch in the ditch. Anytime we stitch in a previously stitched area like this. And what I'm going to do, so I don't have the back stitch, is I'm going to make this a really tiny stitch, like a 1. When you have really little stitches, they don't need back stitched.
Oh, I know.
They lock in so hard. Good luck getting that sucker back out. Seriously.
That just sounded a little bit mean.
This
like,
is
I understand that that's a good thing, but you're talking to the seam ripper queen here.
Oh, I am too. You're talking to a girl who just had to attempt to rip a giant embroidery out of something, and yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, yeah, was that what you texted me about?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
All right, so see how when you stitch in the ditch, you almost can't see it at all.
Yeah,
So you can use that on shoulder seams. You can use that in, so if you're hiding something inside and you need to sew
like
through,
pockets?
like pockets, yeah, or like padding. Even if you're hand stitching, you can hand stitch into the ditch, and you'll hide it.
Got it.
That thread will sink right in, and you'll hide it. So if you're trying to like pad up a shoulders on something, and you've got to take it all the way through all the layers, yeah, you stitch in the ditch.
Huh.
It is a great tool. All right, let's find that other seam. There, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we'll do the same thing on this one. This one won't come out as clean because this was the serged one that just was not very flat.
Right.
So this may not.
Pre-sewn pillowcase ditch.
Which we used that. We could have cut that off, but we didn't because we didn't want to make any extra work.
Exactly. That's the point of using recycled stuff.
Yeah. So, like, I've seen people make things out of upcycled shirts where they reuse the front of the shirt, the collars, like, so you can do lots of interesting stuff.
I did an activity with some kids where we took dress shirts, men's dress shirts.
Yeah, I've seen some
and we
really
cut off
cool.
the top of them and made them, so instead of sewing 2 squares together and putting the elastic, we cut off the top of the shirt and folded it over the elastic.
And it's, I've seen little girls' dresses made from their dad's shirts, which are so adorable.
I think it's so cute.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
Those are some of my favorite upcyclings.
I love that. I've also seen interesting things made from wedding dresses and like people upcycle stuff, and it's really fun. Okay, we have one more. So I just did this in half. See, match these up. And we have our fourths. And that should be enough to keep it from twisting. If it continues to twist, just split it again.
I'll put a couple of hands.
Yeah.
Unless I decide to get my sewing machine out.
Yeah, hand stitches work just as good. There we go. And I believe you have a wearable piece of clothing.
Woohoo!
So, like, to do the casing for to do your band, what you do, and we can.
Did you put the 4th one in?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
We did it while we were talking. There you go.
I wasn't paying attention.
There we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Yay! It looks awesome.
Cool.
I'm excited.
All right, and then if you want to make those fans,
Yes.
here, what we're gonna do, and I'll just show
And I
you.
want them like super short.
Yeah. So, like this length, like the doubles of this.
Well, let me think, because I'm wondering if I should have it standalone so it attaches to the skirt.
So the
Or
way
if I should
my
attach
pattern
it to
has
the-
it, the way my pattern has it is it just folds like that, and then they sewed it on, like they just tacked it on halfway. And then it went through from the bottom and the top. But I'm just going to cut a little bit of this pillow just to show you.
Perfect.
How we do this. So whatever you're finished, you do times 4. So if we want 1 inch, we do 4 inches.
Okay.
And this is 80% of this is going to happen with our iron. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, here, let me move this up a little so I can see. I'm just using my mat here.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right. At 24. We can do rotary cutter so it's faster. Okay. So what happens is when it goes over your skirt, you'll do it like this, so it'll end up essentially that long.
I think that should be good from where I have it sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always kind of, you can make another one longer if you need to, but you'll at least know what to do.
Right.
All right. And let's get this booger over here. And the board. Oh, can we grab the board from back there? And I will show you how this works. So this is the same way you make binding. If you want to bind the edges of something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're just going to utilize this. Normally we wouldn't want a straight seam here, but we are upcycling. So I need to get this tag out. I didn't realize there was a tag in there. All right. So first thing we're going to do is get this flat. There we go. Now we're going to fold it in half and then we're going to press. So the whole way down. And I'm just starting from the center because that's where I'm at. So I'm going to just press right there. We're going to press here. We're going to get that little fold out. Bring it down here. And so this is literally just fold in half. And then I will show you how we will fold it in half again. So this is giving us our fold line. This is kind of like origami more than anything else.
Yeah.
So
Origami, I understand.
all right. So now we're going to open it. And we're going to press each side in to the halfway mark.
Got
And
it.
then
Okay.
you press it, fold it over again, and then you just sew down that edge. And you have a really nice quality strap.
That's awesome.
That's not going to stretch and not going to cause you any drama. And I would just sew both sides so it looks nice. And you can top stitch. You want to have a nice top and bottom because, you're going to see both sides of it.
Right.
But when you do that, just come in. Don't press the middle because we don't want to lose that line.
No.
So we're just going to press like that. And then let's finish the other side. I just wanted to show you how to do this because I thought that you may not have done it this way before.
No, I have not. I remember something along these lines in my classes in college somewhere, but do you have any idea how many years ago that was?
A long time.
Yep.
Long enough that it's not in memory. And besides, our lovely viewers may or may not have seen this. Or may or may not care because it's mostly our family online. All right. And we're going to turn the other way.
You never know who's going to see it post facto.
Yes. Hi, lovely family. I love you. All right. And I don't take it perfect to the center.
Okay.
Because
Then you can't fold it. It's like
when you
origami.
fold it, it'll be weird. Yeah. And if, when I refold it, it's a little off, I'll just press it. Because you can just tweak it right back again. Because it's just a folded line with the iron. It's not a folded, like there's nothing official about it.
Right, you didn't sew
You
it.
you put a little heat there and you're good to go. So this is how I make, and you don't have to turn this strap. No inside out.
Nice.
I don't like turning straps.
No, those are...
All right, so then now I'll start back at the beginning and just make sure it's lined up and repress it one more time with all 4 layers. See? And then you just sew it down each end. Yeah.
Nice.
And you have a nice, pretty strap. Nice and strong. And we made this from real thin fabric. now that we have 4 layers, and this is why you wouldn't want to use the seam there, like that.
Right, yeah.
But we were just testing. You still have plenty of fabric there, so.
Yeah. And I have at least 1 or 2 more pillowcases this color.
Yeah.
And I think a bottom sheet.
All right. Then that gives us our strap. And then we just sew up both sides for nice lookingness. And then when you come in here, just double this.
Got it. And I can go back and watch this video if I forget.
I mean, like if you're going to put a clip or something on there, you know, and depending on what your size is, depending on what kind of clip you have. So if you're going to use a clip or something, or you're just going to sew it to each other on the other side, like how do you plan to close it? Like mine is, my skirt pattern called for like little clips.
I would like to get like the little belt buckle clip where I can
like,
fold
so
it
whatever
up
kind
in,
you attach, so then you would thread it on, you know, and then fold it over once, sew it down, put it on, and then sew it down however far up you need to hold the item in. So if you have something here, so I would fold it once and sew it, then put my thing in, and then put it down with it already in there, and then sew it again. Yeah. And then you don't have any open seams anywhere to fray out. Because if we do it this way, it'll fray. If we do a little fold first and sew that down, no fray.
Awesome. Okay.
And to make your life easier, what you do is hit it with the iron. Because then once we hit it with the iron, now it stays.
It's like putting a whip stitch in it.
Yeah. And you can zigzag over this if you're worried about it, or otherwise you can do a small straight stitch, but since you're going to fold it again, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
You know, especially if you were going to like just edge it here like that, like if I were just finishing it to just hang down, it would just be like that, and then, you know, you're done. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Some people do something, like you just, whatever. You know, you can just do a double turn. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, if you were really wanting to be fussy, you could do this. After you sew it, you can bring it in, or you can do this before you sew it. You can bring it like that if you want a finished edge. Fold it in, and now you have a finished edge.
Oh, nice.
Then you can sew it from here and down. So there's a lot of different options.
Okay.
So if we did it this way, then we would just, you know, press it down and make it happy. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job selecting. If I would have done it that way, I would have opened it, measured it, you know, folded it correctly.
Right.
Not press your finger. Oh, I pressed my fingers. What happened? The cord got stuck. Then, back again here. Now, sometimes those want to peek out. So what I do is take those.
Not press our finger.
Back under like that. And you can actually trim that off if you like. You can trim it like that under, or you can trim it like that under. But anyway you get it, sometimes those are pain in the butt.
I wasn't paying attention to the camera.
It's okay, I wasn't either. See, what happened was the cord got stuck under the table over there. And when I went to move it, it did not want to go. And then I grabbed my finger. So there's another way to do this. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Quilters have the best ways to do this. This is stuff that I've snuck out from quilters because they do lots of binding. So if you want binding videos, you look for quilters binding videos on YouTube. They have all the videos, how to turn corners, how to do all the things. But this is a technique that I learned from quilters.
Nice.
So this is how you do quilt binding. So if you were putting this in a quilt, you would shove that in there and then you'd sew it. Let's say you want to bind the edge of a cosplay because you have something special, right? Like you need a color at the end. Well, you stick this in between there, pin it down, and now you have this nice big wide band at the bottom.
Awesome.
No hem, you do this. So there's a lot of, binding is spectacular. Binding is used for like a trillion bajillion things.
Yeah.
Yeah, binding is like, once you know how to do binding, you're like all over it. Now if your binding has to go on a
Bind
curve.
everything.
Now this is straight binding, right? Because we don't want this to stretch. This is a strap.
Yes.
But if I were putting this on a curve, you would cut your fabric on the bias so it can stretch and curve, and then your binding can go around corners. You could actually cut the binding down if you do binding flat. Let's say you make a narrow piece and you fold it down under, you could end up doing like a cool design with it. Like, let's say you needed some weird stripey thing or some weird like S-shaped thing, you know, you want to put down. You cut a narrow piece. Yeah, like you'd want a narrow piece, obviously. But if you have a narrow piece on the bias that you folded down, then you can like decorate with it, and you just literally just put it down, and then you just sew it on, and you know. And they have little devices that can help with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen something.
But this is the way to do it without any device.
Cool.
This is the
origami.
Yeah, the origami way. This is the I didn't have to buy anything extra.
I like that way.
Lots of people don't want to buy extras, and they don't have room for all the extras. So this just lets us do it without having to buy anything. And we can use our brain. And this is math. So 4 times whatever we wanted the finish to be.
4 inches.
That's why I did 1 inch to demo, because 1 inch was easy. If we had wanted this to be finished a 1/4 inch, we would do this 1 inch, and we could bring this down to a 1/4 inch.
That would be really hard to iron.
Yeah. But let's say that we wanted it to be a 1/4 inch, but we wanted it to lay flat, then we would just fold it under and we wouldn't fold it again. But I've done 1/4 inch binding. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really hard.
It's not, it's, now, if you have the tool, what you do is the tool will actually fold it for you as you pull it through, and then you basically just pull it through and you put your iron on it as you pull it through.
Yeah,
and
I've seen
at some
that.
point I'll demo the tool, but this was just to show you quickly today how to make an easy strap.
That's good.
And you can make an easy strap out of anything. This is because everybody's like, I don't have strapping in my right color. Well, is there any color of quilting cotton that cannot be had? Nope.
Nope.
How strong is this?
Oh yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Because it's on the straight grain. It's not going anywhere. We have 4 layers of quilting cotton. Had I wanted to do this more, you put some fusible in here. Mm-hmm. And now we have quilting cotton with the fusible to stiffen it up. And, you know.
I got a bunch of that for cheap too.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to use really simple stuff. And then you have every color of the rainbow. You have everything. You don't have to buy it. People think, oh, you have to buy the binding in the binding section. No. You don't have to buy the binding in the binding section because they don't understand how to make it. You know, and bias binding is a little more obnoxious to cut. It definitely is because it's a stinker to cut. But once you do it a couple of times, it's easy. But it's in the first time you do it is kind of a pain in the butt because when you bind them together, you don't want big seams like this. So when you put them together, what you have to do is you put them at an angle like this. And then you sew across, and then what happens is you get a seam that's like this. And then when you fold a seam that's like that, the bulk is gone.
Yeah.
So it's not hard. It's just you got to do it once. Once you do it once, it'll click in your brain, and you'll be like, oh!
Pretty sure we did that in college, too.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. But I used to get them reversed all the time. And then I was watching a quilting class, and they said always make a capital letter A. And I was like, oh, so I never confuse it because I always make a capital letter A and sew off the top of my A. So it looks just like a capital letter A.
Got it.
And I was like, that is because I would get them to where one was this way and then another one was the other way and I'd have them all wonky, you know, because I like to use every scrap of fabric. So I'd be like, because when you cut on the bias, you'll get a triangle.
Right.
And then you have to cut your triangle down in the strips. And then when you do that, though, you're going to have them more narrow. But sometimes, especially if you have a really fancy fabric that you're using and you want to get your bias to like make an edging, but you don't want to have to buy tons more of your very expensive $30 yard silk, you will strip together every inch of that freaking silk. Like, because, you know, you have the weird piece here and a weird piece there and you can get them all stripped together. And that's actually how they used to do it, is they would strip every last bit together is bias, nothing to waste.
Yeah.
You know, that's where a lot of, so that like really fancy trim on the Rococo dresses is actually bias binding that's been gathered in the center. And boom, you're done. They sew a line down and you gather it and you have a ruffle.
Oh.
So they make a tube actually. And then they put it like that and then there's a ruffle.
Huh.
If you sew it down the middle and then you pull that, then you have a ruffle. That's how ruffles on the, that's how tuxedo ruffles are made.
Oh.
So if you could also, so what they did is they would make a tube. They'd just make a simple tube, pull it right side out, press it flat, and then just gather it down the center. And that's what those ruffles are made from. And they can make those from leftover bits and bottles. So you would use all of your fabric.
So if you learn how to do something like this, then you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. People think sewing is really hard. No, sewing has some really basic techniques. And if you can master those and use a little bit of this up here, you can reuse the same thing so often that you're not really like, you got this.
Well, it's kind of like learning to play the piano.
Very much.
A lot of people can learn how to play a song really, really well,
but
they can't play anything else.
Yeah, because they haven't really understood how the song got made.
Right.
They didn't understand how they were making each note.
Right.
But when they understood their finger combinations to make the different notes, then they can make their own song.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very much like that. So I think we have learned a ton today.
Yeah, a ton.
Well, I hope you guys learned too. And we'll be sharing this back out on all the places, all the feeds. So people who could not attend right now can watch the replay. And I am here every Tuesday, and I'm hoping to have more guests coming on, and we will be learning all sorts of new techniques. And I have a new website coming, hopefully sometime next week, and I will have my store up and running soon too. So then after that comes the YouTube feed getting updated with a lot more of this kind of stuff in depth, so you guys can watch it all the time. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. We had the best time, didn't we?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. We will see you guys soon.
Bye.
That was fun.
That was awesome.
It is so much easier